I welcome you all to the bonus episode of the ServiceDesk Plus Masterclass series. So, in the previous Masterclass sessions, we looked into the different ways to implement an effective instant management process, followed by providing an exceptional service experience to our employees, change enablement, and just in the last episode, we learned about how you could build an effective IT asset management process for your hybrid work environment. So, we are back again this month with our bonus episode where we'll be introducing our new features and enhancements that have been released in the past 6 months of the year 2022. So, I'll be covering some exclusive features module by module. So, in case it slipped under your radar, in case you haven't noticed the changes and the updates in the product workspace, you will be able to see some of our handiest updates in this episode. And before we get started, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Vidya Lakshmi, and I'll be the trainer for your session today. A recording of this session will be sent to all the attendees. As always, if you have any feedback you would like to share or any questions related to the session or the product, we would be happy to assist you. So you can send them across to the email IDs that are listed on the screen. So now, without any further ado, let's get started with the session. So this is the agenda for today's episode. So I'll be covering the major feature updates, as I mentioned earlier. So we have 7 feature updates, and we also have some micro enhancements that have been released in the cloud version of Service Desk Plus. So I'll talk about the different functionalities and the added capabilities, which when leveraged properly, will allow you to better your service delivery and your overall business operations. So we have the asset lifecycle feature for the asset management module, and we have the newly released space management module for the facilities instance, followed by some enhancements for the change management module, and so on. So now let's take a look at the first feature, which we'll be discussing. So we have the asset lifecycle, as I mentioned. You can use the asset lifecycle to track the entire lifecycle of the asset right from the point of procurement until disposal. So this would basically standardize the entire asset management process by leveraging automation in order to deliver services on time. So we would have gone over this in the previous masterclass session, which is IT asset management. So I'll still brief over the asset lifecycle in this particular feature. So uh, let's take a look at what are the challenges involved when assets are managed manually. So let's say you are not making use of this automation feature, which is the asset lifecycle. What are the kind of risks that are involved? So firstly, it would limit the visibility of the assets in your inventory, and that would lead to underutilization of your assets. And there are also high chances of errors to occur since you're managing the assets manually. And because of the underutilization of assets, you might end up spending more on new assets without realizing that you already have them in your inventory. And overall, it would lead to a lack of clarity and inconsistency in your ticket processing. So let's see how you can leverage the automation feature, which is asset lifecycle, to overcome these challenges of manually managing the assets. So now let me quickly take you to the product and show you how you can configure the asset lifecycle and where it is used. So for that, let me take you to the asset management module and show you where the asset lifecycle automation kicks in. So just give me a couple of seconds here for it to load. So in the asset management module, you can see the IT and non-IT assets. So I'm just going to one of the workstations that I've recently added. So I'm going to search for the Dell series workstation. I'm using the search bar and typing in Dell series. So this would list all the Dell series that are available. So yes, you can see that there is a panel over here which would list the state of this particular asset and the transitions. So this would enable the technicians to stick to the standard operating procedures. So let me show you how you can configure this from the automation section. So under automation, you have life cycles. So you would have looked into the request lifecycle in the previous masterclass sessions. So we have life cycles for request, problem, and assets. You can go to the asset life cycles tab and click on new life cycle. So when you click on a new life cycle, you can provide a name or description to it and apply it to a particular product type. So I have already configured an asset life cycle for hardware. So I have applied this life cycle to the workstation's product type. You can use the drag and drop functionality, which is towards the right side of the pane, and you can easily drag and drop the asset states. So the white boxes that you see here are the asset states, and the green boxes are the asset transitions. So to move from one asset state to the next asset state, you have to go through a particular transition. So these transitions are essentially connectors between the two asset states, and you can further configure the transitions. So the asset states would basically have the start and end blocks, which is the default start and end of the life cycle, and you can further configure the different asset states. You can add this from the customization menu, which I'll go over towards the end. But for now, let's stick to the asset transitions and how they are configured. So as I mentioned, you have to go through the asset transition to move from one state to another. So in this particular workstation, you can see that the asset lifecycle has been applied as this asset has been added to the inventory, and the lifecycle is automatically kicked in. So the current state this particular asset is in is that it is in store, and the next available transitions for the technician are either to assign the user or to mark it as a faulty asset. So you can configure that here. So you can use the connectors, you can provide a directional flow like this. So from start, it goes to the in-store state, and from in-store, you can select one of the two transitions, which is assigning a user or marking it as a faulty asset, and that would in turn go to the next state. So the asset transitions, as I mentioned earlier, can further be configured in three phases, namely before, during, and after. In the before phase, you would be able to configure the scope of access. So this would mean that you can add the different organizational roles or the technician roles, and only those particular technicians and organizational roles will be able to view these transitions on the asset workspace. And under criteria, you can add a particular condition. So only if that particular condition is satisfied, then the transition would be visible. So this happens before the transition. So while the transition is happening, you can mandate certain fields. So this is the assign user transition. So the technician is going to assign a user to move it to the in use state. So to do that, you can further mandate the necessary fields. So I have mandated the user field over here. You can further add the relevant fields by clicking this, and you will find the drop down, and you can further add rule sets. So in the rule sets, you can perform condition based actions or perform actions without any condition at all. So the action that we have here is updating the field value. or the entire process can be aborted based on the conditions that you provide. And in the after phase, so after this transition has been executed, you can send in notifications. And we also have extended capabilities, which you can utilize to run a custom function or trigger webhooks. So this would populate data in the third-party applications. And you can, again, perform this as condition-based actions or apply no condition at all. So I have already configured a rule set where a notification would be sent to the manager. So once it has been assigned to a user, it would send in a notification to the manager. So these are the automations that are currently available. So similarly, for every particular transition, you can perform custom actions, you can perform condition-based actions, and send in notifications. So let's see this in working. So right now it is in the in-store state. So now I'm going to assign this to a user. So I'm assigning it to a particular user. Let's say I'm assigning it to Ashley. So I'm clicking on save, and now the asset has been assigned to that particular user. And now let's say there has been some problem with the asset. So now I can mark it as a faulty asset. And after that, the only available transition is that it is damaged beyond repair. So now it goes to the in repair state. So as I mentioned earlier, right from the time the asset was purchased from the purchase module up to the time it has been disposed from the organization, you can track and monitor the entire asset lifecycle and see how the asset traverses through every state. And I would also like to highlight that you can mark a particular transition as common transition. So let's say you want to connect this transition to multiple asset states and not just one. You can mark it as a common transition, and this would mean that your technicians would be able to go to that particular transition at any point in the life cycle. So that is about the asset life cycle. And now coming back to the presentation. We just saw how the asset lifecycle leverages automation and helps you in overcoming the challenges present in the manual management of the assets. Now let's take a look at the next feature, which is space management. So this particular space management module was released this year, and with the space module, you can effortlessly track and optimize your campus occupancy. So this would mean that you can visually manage all the physical spaces in your organization across all space hierarchies in a consolidated view. So let's see the challenges that facility managers face in order to manage occupancy. So they have been having a hard time to access all the essential information. So since they don't have a space management module where they have a consolidated view of all the different spaces that are available in their campus, they are finding it extremely difficult to access essential information like the types of rooms they have, the conference rooms, the facility services that are available in their organization, like pantry, the parking space, and so on. And because of that, the service quality has been affected since the facility managers have no idea about the connections between the assets and where they are located, and how the structures in the campus and the different sites are connected. The service quality is majorly affected, and there is also the major space crunch issue. So, in the past 2 years, we all have been working remotely most of the time. And with the influx of new hires and with with the hybrid work model or working from office being incorporated, there has been the space crunch issue. And if there are any events that are conducted and all the employees are asked to attend in the organization, then without understanding or having an idea of how much or a capacity your campus can hold, that would result in space crunch issues. And there's also the ever evolving compliance issues. So it has become important to have all the relevant documentation, such as the fire evacuation plan or the blueprint of the building. So to have this all in a centralized view, we have the space management module, which we have exclusively released for the facilities desk instance. So now I'm going to take you to the product and show you how you can configure the space module. So this is available in the facilities desk. So from now on, managing facilities would be a breeze for your facility managers. So let me just go to the space module right now. So I'm going to the spaces module over here. So you can see that there are separate sections for managing campuses. So campuses would mean all the different campuses that are present in your different sites. So at Zoho, we have campuses in different regions. So I've already configured them for the different sites, and you can see that it has the image of the building and the location, the area, an alias name for it, and if it is active or under construction, and so on. So you can choose to hide the photos over here, or you can show the photos. And you can also use the search option here to immediately get essential information. You can use the filter to filter them by area, by site, by total capacity. So this way, it would solve the challenge of accessing essential information instantly for the facility managers. Now, moving on to structures. In structures, you would be able to find all the building and non-building structures that are present within each campus. And you would be able to find the similar details. And under floors, you can add the different floors that are present in each of your buildings, such as the ground floor, first floor, and so on. And in the rooms and spaces, you can add the individual conference rooms, the dining spaces that are available in each of the floors. And the facility services tab is where you add all the facility services that are available in your organization, and you can link them to the particular campus it is available in. So I will go over the space tree towards the end. For now, let me quickly take you to campuses and show you how you can configure this. So I'm just going to show you how you can configure one of the campuses. So you can create a new campus, you can provide a name and associate it to a particular site, provide a description, provide the status it is in, if it is active or if it is under construction or maintenance, provide the area, the unit for it, and you can also select a supervisor for that particular region. And you can provide an alias name followed by providing amenities that are available in that particular campus. And in criticalities, you can add if it has any hazardous substances involved. And the image attachment is basically for EC identification. So you can add them and it would automatically be listed in the campus view. And apart from that, you can also directly add the structures that are present within each campus. So this particular campus has two structures, namely Woodlands and Signature Tower. So similarly, you can add the area and the status of it if it's under maintenance or active. And we also have the associations tab where you can associate the requests that have been raised in that particular campus. you can associate the assets and the facility services. So this way, your facility managers will be able to instantly access this information and provide quality service. And under the document section, you can add the fire evacuation plan or the blueprint to instantly access the documents for regulations. And the history tab would basically have the history of the events. So this would provide you with an overall view of the campus, and it also has the total and the occupied capacity. So this way, your facility managers can plan in advance in case there is any event that is happening in your organization, and they would be able to instantly view the status and the different details such as the associated requests and services and so on. So similarly, you can add structures under new structures, and you can add floors over here. So you can also add rooms and spaces and associate them. So let me just go through one of the rooms that you can add. So in the rooms, I would like to highlight this particular field, which is an addition. So if you mention that it is a floating capacity, then it would provide a buffer capacity. So let's say it can occupy the occupied capacity is 85 and the total capacity is 100. You can provide a buffer capacity of let's say 10 more people. So this would just give more information of how much those rooms can take in, and you can add the types of room layouts. So you can specify if it is a boardroom or if it's a theater or if it's a classroom and so on. So apart from the structures, the rooms, and the floors, you can also add the facility services. So you can click on new facility service, provide a name and description, and I would like to go over the space tree right now. So this is basically the consolidated view I was talking about. So the space tree, as you see here, is an expandable tree. So you can click on the particular structure you want to know about. So let's say I want to know about the Estancia campus. So I can click on that. I want to know about the signature tower, and then I want to know what is available in the ground floor and so on. So you can see that it has the capacity. You would be able to see how much each campus and each building can accommodate, and you can also see the associated tickets over here. And the green symbols that you see here are the statuses. So you can view the asset statuses, or the space statuses from the top right. So these have been color coded, and you would easily be able to see which buildings are active and which buildings are under maintenance or construction and so on. So now let me quickly take you to customization to show you how you can configure the space fields and the statuses. So under customization, you have the space management tab. So under space management tab, you can add a new campus type. So we were filling in the campus fields from the default form. So you can create a new campus form by providing a name. So I'm just going to give new campus, click on save. So now the form is open for editing. So you can add new fields, you can add a new section from using the drag and drop functionality, and you would be able to access it from that particular campus tab. And similarly, you can add new structure, flow types, and room types, and also facility service types. So you can add amenities. So you can click on new amenity, provide name, description, and select an icon for that particular amenity that you are adding. And you can add the space statuses over here. So you saw that they were color coded. Here is where you define it. And you can add the criticalities, the room layouts, and finally the space area. So if you want it to be in cubic foot or square meters, you can specify it here. And I would like to highlight a couple of other enhancements in the space management feature. So we have added space field to the asset management module. So when you go to assets, uh, so let's say I'm going to add a new air conditioner. So I'm clicking on new, and I'm providing the site. I'm adding this air conditioner in. So I'm adding it to Austin, and you can see that there's a space field here. So in this particular space field, you can add to which floor you are adding this air conditioner to. And like I mentioned earlier, in the space management module, we just saw how you could directly associate the assets, right? So instead of that, there is an alternate way. So when you add any asset, IT or non-IT asset, to the asset inventory, you can also specify which particular space it is added to. And apart from this, we have also added the space field to the templates and forms. For that, let me go to templates and forms, which is over here. So I'm just going to one of the service category templates. So here are all the facility related templates. I'm going to add one. So as you all know, this is the technician's view, and you can use the drag and drop functionality over here to add the fields. So you can see that we have recently introduced the space field. So from now on, your end users would be able to add the assets and also the space that asset is associated to. So if it is in the first floor or if it is in a particular campus, they can associate it. And this would help the technicians in providing quality service. So with that, we have come towards the end of the space management feature. Now let's move on to deploying conflict-free changes. So this is a feature which has been released to provide to make change deployment easier and conflict-free. So you can set time slots during holidays or during the important days when your team members aren't available. So if there is any risk in affecting your organization's productivity, you can schedule conflict-free changes, and that would in turn save your organization's production environment. So let's see what are the challenges that are faced by change managers when they try to implement a change. So usually when changes are implemented, multiple changes are implemented, it would result in in conflicts. So let's say you are implementing server maintenance and router maintenance during a particular weekend or during vacation time. So that's when your resources won't be available, and that would mean there is a huge risk that is incurred in the production environment. So, when the two different changes are conflicting and your resources are unavailable during the non working days, then that would in turn inflict a major risk in your work environment, and the release or downtime schedules of the change request might clash, and overall it would affect the organization's productivity. So now let's see how the conflict detection feature works in order to notify in order to notify your technicians about the conflicts and reschedule them. So now let me quickly take you to the product and show you how this works. So the conflict detection feature is available under the automation section. You can access it from there. So the conflict detection feature is working mainly based on these two functionalities, which is freeze windows and maintenance windows. So these two are the most crucial parts of the conflict detection. So you can create a new freeze window in order to restrict the change deployment during a particular period. So let's say you want to freeze change deployment during the Christmas week, as that's when most of your employees would go on vacation. So in that case, you can configure your freeze window. So let me just show you how you can do that. You can apply this for selected services, the services that are affected, or to particular sites. So you can select them from the drop down, and you can also you can also apply this to all the changes. So the freeze window will be applied to all the changes, and uh, you can apply this to a release schedule or to the downtime schedule or when the changes are created. And you can choose to implement this without conditions, or you can make it condition based, and you can schedule the window based on your requirements. And let's say this is something that happens on a monthly basis or a yearly basis in this case. So Christmas is an international holiday which happens every year. So you can schedule it on a yearly basis and click on save, and the freeze window will be saved. So this would mean that all the changes that have been that have been created and that would be deployed during the Christmas week will be restricted. And then we have the maintenance windows, which you can configure to perform the maintenance work at that particular time. So let's go through that. You can configure this, which is very much similar to the freeze windows. You can apply it to selected services, sites, or to all changes. And you can apply this to release or downtime schedule. And again, you can make it condition based or not. And you can schedule the window. So once you do that, the maintenance window would start in the scheduled time and end in the specified time. So this conflict detection feature works in a way that would compare the freeze windows and the maintenance windows with the release or downtime schedules of your change ticket. So now let me quickly take you to one of the change tickets that I've raised. So you can see that there are alert icons over here. So these alert icons are basically the conflict detection. So it says that the scheduling conflict has been detected, and you can use the scheduler to resolve conflicts. So I'm just going to the change ticket, which I've raised for upgrading the server. So in this, again, you can see that there is a banner text which says the scheduling conflict has been detected with the freeze windows. So you can use the scheduler to resolve the conflicts. And the other places that you would see these are the planning phase, because under the schedule tab, this is where you would be adding your release or downtime schedules, right? So as I mentioned earlier, conflict detection would compare the freeze or maintenance windows with the release and downtime schedules. So I have configured a downtime schedule for upgrading the server. You can see that there is another alert icon which says that it conflicts with the freeze windows. So when you click on freeze windows, you would be able to see which particular freeze window is restricting this change deployment. So you could quickly go to the scheduler and resolve the conflicts. So I'm just going to the Christmas week because that's where you'll find the changes in the scheduler. So you can see that again, there is an alert icon. Using these alert icons and the scheduler, you can change the schedule of the change deployment accordingly. So it doesn't clash with the other changes or the critical days that would affect your organization's productivity. So that's about conflict detection. So we saw how you could make change management easier without any conflicts. Now let's move on to the next feature, which is custom operational hours. So from now on, you can define your working hours, which is specific to each day. And this is a very simple approach, which you can utilize to configure operational hours for every particular day. So let's say your organization has operational hours for different sites and you're finding it difficult to track the request attributes such as SLAs, the business rules, and other critical automations. So how do you ensure that these automations are executed only during your working hours? So for this, we'll be going to the custom operational hours, which is under instance configuration. So I'm going to operational hours, and under operational hours, previously you were able to configure it for the entire week, or uh, if it is round the clock, if you're working 24 cross 7. So now we have added an extension to it. So you can select the working days of each week. Let's say in the California site, you work on Saturdays too. So, but on Saturdays, you work only from 9 to, let's say, 2 p.m. So you can configure that here, and let's say in another site in Australia, the standard working hours is from 9 to 5. So you can provide that here. So similarly, you would be able to configure it for every particular site. And this would ensure that all the critical automations, such as the SLAs, would be executed only during your working hours. Now coming back, let's take a look at the next feature, which is solution templates. So your technicians would be able to use the solution templates with minimal effort to categorize the knowledge base. So let's take this scenario where your technicians have to create similar solutions for multiple tickets that have been raised for the same issue, and the SLA clock is ticking in the backend. So how do your technicians maintain consistency throughout when they are providing solutions for repeated requests and also ensuring that the SLA isn't breached? So for this, we'll be using solution templates. So you can find that under templates and forms. So under templates and forms, I'm going to the solution template. So I have already added solution templates for the different issues. So for VPN issues, I have added a solution template over here. So let me show you how you can configure it. So you can provide a name, the title, and the content that you want to be auto-populated for the technician. You can provide a topic name for effective categorization, and you can provide keywords and save it. So once you do that, the solution templates are added, and you can go to the solutions knowledge base, and you can see that it has been properly categorized with the relevant icons. So let's say your technician needs to add a new solution for a VPN issue. So in that case, they can go to a new solution and add the details. So since we have already configured a solution template for VPN issues, we can choose that, and you can see that the data has been auto-populated. So this would in turn save a lot of time for the technicians instead of building it from scratch. So for repeated requests, they can use templates like these and auto-populate the information. So now let's come back to the presentation. So we saw about solution templates. Now let's take a look at report widgets. So uh, uh, we saw in the previous masterclass sessions as to how you can use the dashboards to view the analytics, and how you can easily access information for the different modules. So we have further enhanced it where you can add your preferred report widgets by adding them to your dashboard. So now let's consider this scenario where your asset manager wants asset reports that are grouped by loan expiry status, and they want to access it instantly from the dashboard. So they need a summarized visual representation of the loan status. And how do you do this instead of going to the report section every time and downloading it? How do you make it instantly accessible in the dashboard? So we have the report widgets feature for that. So under reports, you can utilize the toggle over here. So once you enable it, you can instantly access the reports from the dashboard. So let me show you how this is done and working. So let's go to the reports module. So under reports, you can find the different canned reports. So currently we support 150 plus canned reports. And under the asset loan reports that we discussed earlier, so the asset manager wants the loan status to be instantly accessible, right? So I have enabled the toggle to be accessible to the dashboard. So this would mean that I can instantly view this information right from the asset dashboard. So I'm going to the Home tab to access it. So currently I'm in the asset dashboard, and this has all the information about the IT assets by vendor and so on. So since I have enabled the toggle, the asset loan expiry status and the assets that are currently in loan are visible, and they are instantly available in the dashboard for easy access. That's about the report widgets feature. And now we have come towards the final feature for this session, which is moving tickets across instances. So previously, it was done manually, where tickets are deleted and then they are raised in the relevant instance. So from now on, you can save yourself from the hassle of manually creating them with just one-click access. So let's say your end user has logged in a facilities ticket. Let's say they have an issue in their workstation, and instead of logging it in the facilities instance, they log into to your IT help desk instance unknowingly. So how do you move this request from IT help desk to your facilities desk without creating a new request manually? So for this, we'll be utilizing the move request feature. So now let me quickly take you to the product and show you how this works. So under request, you would be able to find the list of all the instant and service requests. We can see that there are a bunch of requests which are workstation issues. So I'm just going to one of the tickets over here. So this was supposed to be raised in the facilities desk, but it has been mistakenly raised in the IT help desk. So I'm going to the actions menu and clicking on move request. So within one click, I will be able to move this to the facilities instance. So I click on move, and this would automatically be marked as closed, and it would move to the facilities help desk instance. So this in turn would save a lot of time for your technicians. It would save a lot of time and effort. And let's move on to the micro enhancements that have been released. So we have Zia. We have some pretty exciting enhancements, such as priority prediction and Zia auto pop-up. So let me show you how this is done and working. So the Zia auto prediction feature works when the technician is editing a particular request. So let's say I'm going to the workstation issue ticket, and let's say like certain details are missing, and the technician is filling in all the necessary fields. So the Zia priority prediction would auto predict the top three priorities based on the past few requests that have been raised. And there is also the category prediction. So again, uh, uh, the top three category predictions would be automatically suggested by Zia. And there is also the subcategory prediction. So let's say I'm going with user management. So it would predict the top three subcategories. So this would be very helpful for your technicians in filling the missing details in the ticket. And you can configure this under the Zia section. So I'm going to setup, and under Zia, I'm going to artificial intelligence. So we have introduced the prediction enhancements over here. So you can enable them and the prediction would automatically be applied. So the Zia chatbot, which is our virtual artificial intelligence agent, would be training based on the past instant and service requests that have been raised in your service desk. And moving further, we have the quick actions, which we have introduced. So your technicians and requesters would be instantly able to perform the following actions. So you can manage them over here. You can select the particular actions that you want your technicians or end users to instantly access. So I'm in the technician's view now, and I can use Zia to perform the following actions. And similarly, in the end user's view. So this is the self-service portal of the end user. So I'm going to the Zia chatbot, and you can see that all the quick actions are available over here. And there is also the Zia auto pop-up feature. So every time you log into your instance the first thing in the morning, you would be able to see a summary of all your tickets, all your open requests, and so on. So that is about the enhancements in Zia. Now, let me take you to the product and show you where you can configure the service request SLA enhancement. But before that, let me show you how it works. So I'm going to the end user's view. So I'm currently in the self-service portal of the requester. So let's say your requester is requesting for internet access. So I'm going to the request internet access form, and you can see that there is an additional section to select the SLA. So previously, SLAs were applied on a condition basis. So from now on, your end users would be able to select the SLA directly and apply it to the request that they are logging into the help desk. So let's see how you can configure this. So now I'm back to the technician's view. So under general settings and under advanced portal settings, you can see that there is a section for service request SLA. So previously it was purely condition based SLAs, which were automatically applied to the service request. But from now on, you can allow the user to select the SLA or use both user selected or condition based SLAs. And you can enable this checkbox to override the user selected SLA. So uh, let me take you to automation and show you how you can associate the templates. So under service request SLA, I have already configured an internet SLA. So the internet SLA, the service request SLA has an additional tab for associated templates. So this has been introduced recently. So you can associate or dissociate templates. We use the request internet access template, right? So you can associate them from here. So this would allow the end user to access a particular template, and you can mark it as a default SLA. And this way, your end users would be able to select the particular SLA that you have configured. And you can also restrict this to particular user groups. So that is about service request SLA. Next up, we have technicians that you can uh, manage the following sites and groups. So you can manage sites and groups from users and permissions under technicians, except for the logged in technician. You can manage the sites and groups from here. So you can click on the cogwheel and it would auto-populate all the associated sites and groups. So you can change them over here, and you can click and you would find the drop down, and you can add all the relevant sites and groups. So it is as easy as that to associate the sites and groups for your technicians. Now, coming back, Uh, we also have some micro enhancements that have been released for the change module. So we have the automated cancellation of tickets of the task and reminders when a ticket is cancelled. We support bulk closure of changes and sending cab recommendations in bulk and some more. So now let me take you to the product and show you this in working. So let me take you to the change management module. So in the change management module, you would be able to see a list of all the change tickets. So first up, let me show you how you can bulk close the change tickets. So previously, you could only close these tickets individually, but from now on, you can select the tickets that you want to close and click on close, provide a closure status that it is completed. Just providing a comment, closed, approved, approved. All right. So now I'm clicking on save. And now these changes, the change tickets have been closed automatically. So apart from that, we have the auto cancellation of tasks and reminders. So I'm just going to go to one of the change tickets. So let's say you're rolling out minor changes. And let's say you want to send the bulk recommendation for cab approval. So you can go to the cab evaluation stage. So before that, I'll show you how you can automatically cancel the task and reminders. So you can see that there are tasks that have been added to this particular change ticket, and there are reminders that have been added. So instead of individually closing them, and deleting them, you can directly cancel the ticket and it would automatically be canceled. So I'm going to close this particular change ticket. So I'm providing a status that it is canceled and I'm clicking on save. So now this change ticket has been canceled and the associated reminders as well as tasks have automatically moved to the cancel status. So that is about the automated cancellation of tasks and reminders. Next up, we have the bulk recommendation for cab approval. So let me just go to one of the change tickets. So let's say you're rolling out software updates and you want to send bulk approvals for recommendation. So you can add cab members under the cab evaluation stage. You can select the cab over here and you can send them for bulk recommendation. So this would automatically trigger an email notification, and once you click on send, it would automatically be sent to the cab members. So apart from this, you can also restrict the change owners from editing the previous stages. So you can configure this under the setup. So you can go to customization and under the change management module, you would be able to edit the change rules. So by default, your change owners will be able to edit the previous stages. So once you uncheck this box, you would be restricting permissions for your change owners to edit the previous changes. So with that, we have covered most of the enhancements. We just have a couple of enhancements left, which is triggers for request sub entities. So I hope you have been able to follow until now. We have the triggers under the automation tab. So previously, you could raise triggers only for requests, but from now on, you'll be able to configure triggers, not just for requests, but for the following fields such as task, approvals, and other such request attributes. So this is the added capability under triggers. And apart from that, we have the delegation feature, which we have further extended to where the technicians as well as your requesters will be able to set up their unavailability. So once you enable these checkboxes, they can automatically apply for leaves under delegation. So with that, we have come towards the end of the feature updates and the enhancements that have been released in the past few months of the year 2022. If you have any further questions, you can always send them across to hello@servicedeskplus.com, and we would be happy to assist you with anything about the product. And we also have a vibrant community. We have our product videos and admin guide, and you would be able to find the links to all of these useful resources in the handout section. So I hope you have downloaded the handouts. You would be able to find one-liners of all the features and enhancements that have been released. So with that, I am signing off for now. So thank you for joining us again. You have been an amazing audience. So if you have any feedback, you can share that across after the session is over, and we would be happy to hear from you. Thank you, everyone.